folks. Welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. Tonight, we have something exciting for you, different, exciting, and unique. Let's take it a step back here. For those of you who have no idea, and this is the first time that you've ever appeared on this channel, I am Dorothy O'Dell. I am the founder of Unstoppable Overcomers, where we make media your number one solution here. And if you have not checked out Roku, go check us out on Roku, because like Netflix badly died this weekend with that whole fight. So thank you, Netflix, for doing that. So I think you're going to be switching over to Roku. So when you do, go check us out over there on Unstoppable Overcomers. So tonight, though, we do have a special guest, and that is me. But I will be interviewed by the amazing roving reporter Kimberly Genovese. So Kimberly,
hey
welcome,
girl.
my friend.
Yeah, thank you. This is so first of all, it's just such I'm like for all of you out there in Dorothy O'Dell land, I'm sure you know that I am very honored to get to interview the amazing Dorothy O'Dell. And it's a real privilege. And so thank you, Dorothy, for giving me this opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. And April's in the house. So welcome, April.
Sweet. There's she's amazing. So Dorothy, we are closing out the series on the book. Yes, this book, Your Body Conversation, and bringing new words to our body conversations, and how perfectly fitting that we close out the interviews of the 10 amazing women in the series on the show with you.
With me. Yes.
And
for those of you that didn't get your copy, it's running around the bottom there, where you can go buy it.
Yes. And so without further ado, Dorothy, so your chapter is absolutely incredible. And I've read all the chapters, and all the chapters have something powerful to deliver. Knowing that we're both very passionate about suicidal ideation and things of that sort in the world of that sort, your story really rang true to me. For the people that will read your story and identify with your story, not to say that happened to you, because that's not something you talk about in it, but I really did hear the difference it could make for people that walk a really tight line with darkness and dark thoughts. And so it's just a really, really beautiful story. I don't want to give anything away, because I want everybody to run out and buy the book.
Exactly.
And your story would be worth buying the book. It's just,
wow, thank you for that.
It's there to say, okay? And the difference it would make for people. So with that there, I would love to ask you, what, Dorothy, what had you even write the book? Like, what had you take it on?
Well, you see, I know 7 incredible women that just light my fire every other Saturday, or light my ass, however you want to call it. Some days, some weeks it's both.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it gets lit on both ends of the candle, right?
Exactly. And so when Jen said, I want to write this book, basically I do what everybody else. I'm not going to, no, I don't do what everybody does in that group. That's not true. But because I knew it meant something to her, I thought, well, okay, I've experienced the whole, I hate my body, hate looking in the mirror type thing. And what could this part of my story, how could this part of my story help others? Since, I've been so vocal and open about every other part of my life. So why not this part?
Beautiful. Really great. And what was it like writing the book? What was that like for you? What was the process like for you? What opened up for you?
That's a great question, because funny enough, okay, so we wrote that chapter 2 years ago, and things happened, and it did happen what happened, and as we're getting close to put it out there, I reread my chapter, and I was just like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't say this or this or this or this. Maybe I should just rewrite it. So I wrote it, or I read it And I was just, well, that particular day that I reread it, I was like, I lit myself on fire. I literally was just like, damn, that's really good stuff in there. And I'm a very humble person. I don't say that to, I never like, I don't think higher of myself than I ought to. But when I read it, I'm like, yeah, that's encouraging. That's inspiring. So I was in a funk that day and I read it and I was just like, oh yeah, that's never mind. It's saying the way it is.
Beautiful. Really great. And what was it when you were actually writing the book? Like, what happened for you during the process of writing the book? Because you say some things, and again, I'm not going to give it away, guys. You got to buy the book because it's just that good. You actually mentioned things in the process of writing it that like you'd never shared and things
Yeah.
of that sort. So what was that experience like for you?
But yeah, well, you're right. There's certain things in my life I had never told anybody. I'd never told my parents about the certain things. Well, I'll just say it, like the purging and things like that. There was a period in my life where I don't know. I was always on some diet of one kind or another, right? Um, Growing up, and in our house, everybody was big. And so in writing it, it was just like, okay, I don't even know how, just it just flowed out of me. And yeah, I divulged things in that book that I had never told anybody. And I don't even think, maybe I should give a copy to my mom. I don't know. But I don't even know I don't even think she knows that I'm in this one. Imagine that. So anyways, yeah, there's things in there that I've never told anybody. And it was like, I want to say cathartic, but in the same time, it was like just releasing that. Okay, so no one can hold it against me because um, what's brought to light is released, in my opinion. So it's not like, and I release things on myself before somebody else can, because I'm like, well, if it's going to come out, it's going to come out. So Melody has a question here. I love this, Melody. Uh, when you were writing it with the intention of it becoming a book, was it more journaling than turned into a book? For my first book, yes. For this chapter, no. I knew it was supposed to be about body image. So I had not journaled on this one. I just sat down at the computer. Funny enough, that's what I did with my first book. And it just flowed. It just, like, this was what it was supposed to be, and it just
I was
flowed.
gonna say, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
sometimes when there's some things that you write or you like, oh, I'm not penning this. Like I am 100% instrument. I'm being used
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
get this out. Yeah.
There you go. That's what it felt like. It was just like, yeah, this is what it had to be. This is what had to be said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is what was wanted and needed,
Yes.
right? Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. What would you, Dorothy? What would you most want people to get from your chapter?
Great question. And funny enough, I knew you were going to ask that, and I had not prepared for that one. Um, I'm off the cuff.
Okay.
What can I say? Oh, I love that melody. Melody says, "When it flows, it's because it's meant to be."
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen, Melanie.
I, I think everything that I do in life has a underlying occurrence to, you're never alone, and there's always hope. So in this chapter, that is basically what I want people to walk away with. If I can get through these things, so can you, right? So if you're looking in that mirror, she definitely wants to read it. Go get it. Go get your copy, Melody. There we go. You can get it on Amazon. It's scrolling across the bottom. There we go. It's I just, if anybody out there has been, overweight their entire life, like so obviously I was not overweight at birth. And I used
Well,
to,
that's an interesting part of your story, Dorothy. Not to step over it, you were actually born You didn't use the term premature, but like small, like very
I'm
right.
small.
Like you
Yeah.
were like literally like your bone, like everything was like
Yeah. Well, I was so
concerningly small.
concerningly small, and I was in a period of my life where I wouldn't eat. I just wouldn't eat.
Mhm.
So my parents were very concerned, and they took me to the doctor, and the doctor gave me some kind of medication. Wish I would have known what that is. Um,
So to this day you don't know. You don't
no,
know what they gave you.
no.
Nobody knows what they gave. Like there's no record. There's
Well, the doctor's retired now, so
Mhm.
yeah, no idea. So anyways, so that being said, I would gradually eat more and more and more, and then, grow up overweight. So if you have a child out there that doesn't eat, don't give them medication. They will eventually eat. When they're hungry, they'll eat. I just think mine was like I wasn't hungry. And then with the, um, I'm not going to say chaos of life. Just with everything going on, like our family used to bring food as a celebration, food as a, like if you're ticked off, you would use food. If you were happy, you would eat. If you were sad, you would eat. Uh, Basically, you ate for everything. And it's all delicious food. My mom is German and Irish, and my dad is Scottish. So it's all great, amazing foods, fatty foods, that you would sit down to eat, like pierogies or German potato salad, which is like a heart attack in a pan if you make it the right way. Um, so, and if any of my doctors are listening, yeah, it's been a long time since I've had that. So, anyways, but I mean, that's how we ate, right? And that's how it was. So once the ball started rolling and that I was bullied, and so I would eat my emotions, and instead of just dealing with them, because you never talked about anything that was going on. And then over years and decades, and over different relationships that were not great or healthy, or when you lose somebody to suicide in your family, that triggers emotional eating. Um, uh, Definitely, right? Melody says food is often an emotional tool. Absolutely. So each thing that happened, oh, let's just eat or drink our way through that, right? Um, so that's what happened.
I was just thinking Melody definitely wants to buy the book because she just alluded to my chapter. Uh,
There you go.
so so there's not a story in the book that isn't amazing.
That's
But
right.
yeah, no, it's really a brilliant. Everything you say in there is brilliant, and your point to you know, intentions are the pathway to hell, right? Like good and especially good intentions,
Mhm.
right? Like I am sure your doctors and your parents had the very best of intentions when they started doing what they did. And to your point, if one person hears this tonight that's a parent that's being told to, medically alter their children, please reconsider. Get 2, 3, 5, 10, opinions on that before right? Because everyone's would do. I mean, do you agree? Like everyone's body is so unique and special to
Mhm.
of and to itself, and just the just the air that we breathe,
Mhm.
it's got toxins and pollutants in it and all kinds of like cuckoo crazy stuff. And, you know, um, just the conversation we were having in prep for the show tonight, right? Like, sugar is such a great example. Sugar is already a toxin, and then we do chemical substitutes to that, so when you're putting more chemicals in your body to try to regulate your body, it's just a slippery slope. And I really appreciate your like passionate stand, like, yeah, no, like enough with this. Like I did this like I didn't have control over it when it happened to me when I was a kid. I sure am not going down this road again as a woman. So,
Well, 100%. And I think, growing up being bullied from grade 2 to, I don't think it ever stopped really until I went to college. Um, that plays on you as a kid, right? And then you go from being, I went from being that kid, and then I used to have the "fu" attitude, right? Because I just took it for so long, and then, well, screw this. Like if I'm being bullied, obviously that must be the thing to do. So then I became the one that bullied others, which I'm not proud of. But it's like they prey on the weak, or hurt people, right? That's
you
the
mentioned
saying.
that in this story too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's not to say that was right, but I'm just like, man, and I didn't realize how much that affected me up until, I would say, 5 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, because there was everything that was coming up when I was doing personal development and healing work was that same thing. Bullying is a huge trigger for me. If I feel like I'm being bullied, I like, you have me in a corner, I'm coming out. Obviously now I know how to do it more effectively, and not come out with the claws. But I mean, there is that would be my number one trigger. And not I never told my parents any of that, what was going on, right? Because why would I do that? So they didn't even know until later on in life, when no one was going to school to the telling the principal what was going on. And it had an effect. Like, it had a huge effect on me. And so, and how did I cope? Well, I coped with food. So yeah, the doctor may have given me medication when I was younger, but with all this life circumstances that had come across, it definitely was overeating and eating things I should not have eaten.
Yeah.
When you don't heal your wounds, you bleed on those who didn't cut you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I'm very intentional that if I'm triggered, like I said, I used to be one to fly off the handle right away. I've now given myself the time to calm down, really take a look at the situation, and then when everybody's calm, then ask the questions.
That's
Yes.
good. That's good. Dorothy, what would you mentioned it, and it's so beautiful because you've actually lived it. What would you say to people who feel like they can't tell the people that they're closest to, like if they have an unhealthy conversation with their body, whatever that is, right? Like I mean, there's lots of people who have unhealthy conversations with their body that are super thin, right? And everything in between. I mean, I know so many people, and I know you do too, that I mean, they truly are like absolutely stunning. They're stunning, like they're bright, radiant lights. And it really doesn't matter that they aren't. It matters how they see themselves and what their conversation with their body is. And what would you say to those people out there that have it that they can't share their body conversation without feeling like someone's going to try and fix them, or that whole world? Like, where would you recommend they go to? It's interesting, the word that is coming up for me, purge, healthy purge, but a healthy
Healthy
purge,
purge.
right? Like healthfully purge out the body conversation that is unhealthy,
Right.
right? What would you recommend for those people?
Well, okay, so that's awesome, because you really have to find your tribe. And I'm blessed because without meeting these ladies that are in this book, I don't even know where my life would be right now. I really don't. And so in having you all, Kimberly's definitely part of that group. Without having these ladies in there, I really, in my in my circle, I'm looking at my family circle, there would have been nobody that I could talk to. Absolutely nobody that would help elevate me out of that. And they say you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with, right? That's I've heard that over and over again. So find somebody that you can trust, that you know is not going to go and spread it like what is that? There's that movie. You're the movie buff. What's the movie where they tell one person, and it goes down the line, and they tell
Talking about the
everybody?
Chinese telephone?
Well, there's that
Which
too,
is
but
like,
there's
like sounds so horrible. Okay, guys, like that, I'm dating myself because that's probably not politically correct. But it's the whole. Oh, are you saying like it's an actual show?
there's an actual movie that has that in it, and I can't for the life of me remember. You're the
American
movie buff.
Graffiti? Oh, Grease. I remember Grease. Do you remember like
Oh,
when
yes,
Rizzo came
maybe.
out and
Yeah,
you know.
maybe. I don't know. Anyways, I know there's a movie out there where, one person tells one thing, then it gets around. Greece is like that. Yeah, there is a couple places in the movie that has that. But find somebody you can trust, first of all. If you can, find more than one person you can trust, but start with one. And then just, have that conversation with that person. Find your tribe and stick within it. And then be that tribe for somebody else.
Beautiful. It's interesting that I'm going to stay with this for a minute, right? As I'm just curious because it's not like you found that tribe early on, right?
Wow.
You went a long time by yourself and dealing with it alone. What would you say, like, if you actually stopped and looked, what was the catalyst that had that tribe come into you? What opened the door for you so people won't have to go so long
Right.
to open the door?
So it's funny. Okay, so it's funny that you asked that. Hey, Tammy, thanks for joining us. Love you. Rumor has it. Oh, maybe it is. Rumor has it. Maybe that is
I'm sure it is. April would know.
April would know. That is probably it. So that's a great question. I believe that when you're ready, when the teacher's ready, when the teacher's ready, the student will appear. I've heard that, or however, is if I screwed that saying up. But again, I was backed into another situation in life. My dad got cancer, and I had just wrote my first book. That's what it was. I wrote my first book. I was networking on LinkedIn for a while. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because LinkedIn is a great network. And what you think talking to one person will lead to something, it actually leads to multiple things. So I just happened to come across this lady who had a podcast, and I wanted to be on her podcast to share my book. And in that podcast, I never actually even appeared on her podcast. Now that I think about it, she led me to Jen Zahari, who is the brains behind the book. And so Jen led me to all of you ladies. So by being open to networking, excuse me, now I get the hiccups, networking within a certain group. And by the way, this is non-alcoholic wine, so it's not wine. It's not real wine. Just
and it could be. It could be.
But
it's not like there's anything wrong with that. not like there's anything wrong.
Well, I'm hiccuping, and people can see that I'm taking a drink. But anyways, this is how this show rolls. Like we That's just right. roll with it. Yeah. So just being open, networking with different people. You never know what that's going to be. Because if I didn't network, I would have never met these women.
So thank you, Dorothy, because that's ultimately what I want to make sure people hear. Open your right? Like, how do you let in your tribe? You gotta open yourself up.
Yeah.
And we say this show is Holy Spirit led. So, in the world of it, we would say take it to JC, right? and Holy
Mhm.
Spirit all day long. Um, and if that's not your bag, right? Like take it to source, so right? Like take it to the source of who you say your source is and say,
Mhm.
please send me the perfect person. Like you only need one, right? Because then the rest
Right.
will come with it, right? She's so awesome.
Everybody's having hiccups. Did I scare you out? Yes. Tammy
I
scared the
love
hiccups out
it.
of
I
me.
love it. I love it. That's so great.
That is.
Perfect. Right. Yeah.
Um,
But, right. Like, hey, everybody out there, like, really get it. You know, she went a really long time with being alone in her body conversation. And it's just please people like, and like, it's, wouldn't you say too, it's like similar to like doctors and I like to do it this way, right? Because it's like the scope of it, like whether it's this doctor or hairdresser, right? Like, and everything in between, right?
shout
Don't
out to Carrie,
settle,
my hairdresser. That's right. We talk all the time.
right? Don't settle. Don't settle. But whoever in your life is breathing life into you, even in the smallest of ways, like your hairdresser, you
Mhm.
know, follow the light, I guess, is what's
Yes.
there. But it's and follow it, right? Let it warm you and let it fill you and you know, don't think sitting on it is going to make it better.
Right. No, it doesn't make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
And carrying it alone, because I believe we're all meant to be in communication and to be in communion with other people. And growing up, I had a couple friends which were more like acquaintances, which were more like I just went to school with them. Let's
More
just be
surface,
honest.
more
Yeah, more
surface.
surface.
Yeah.
Like they didn't give a shit if I lived or died. I hadn't even heard it from them since I've been past, like since I graduated. Truthfully. So, and I mean, and not like I reached out to them either. So it's like, it is what it is. We went to school together and that's where it went. Um, and let's be real. I moved from Tilbury to Paulusburg, and for those of you who are living in the States and have no complete clue where Tilbury is, it's a speck on the dot between Windsor and
Wait,
Chatham.
hold on. You said it's a speck on the dot. Like
Uh,
that's
a,
really small.
a speck on the dot. Okay, so get this. Tilbury has the highest, let me get this right, highest alcohol consumption per capita for teenagers and for kids.
Oh my
And
God.
then I moved to Wallaceburg, which is the largest capital for teenage pregnancies. That's what I grew up in. So I went from one spectrum to the other and I made it without being an alcoholic or having children.
Wow. I'm
So
impressed.
that just like, and no judgment to anybody that
No,
did,
no, 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 no.
but
But in the sea of consciousness, I mean, you really had to be a salmon swimming upstream.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Wow.
I went from one spectrum to the other.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
started my grade school, public school. I know there's two different things. Like we call it public school, you guys call it grade school. So I started in grade school in Tilbury and ended my high school career, grade 10 to 12 in Wallaceburg. Like we're talking, man, Wallaceburg can be rough. Let's just put it that way. It's like the ghetto in some areas.
Yeah.
Like can be. I'm not
Wow.
saying all of it is, but it's
Yeah.
pretty rough.
Well, I mean, and your point is right. Like
Yeah,
there was nowhere to turn. It,
no,
it really, you really were in the thick of it with nowhere to turn.
right?
So, would you say during that time before you were able to open yourself up and receive a tribe, what got you through it?
That's a great question. Because looking
Because
back, like when we moved to Wellsburg, I had nobody because my friends that I had made in Tilbury were long gone. I had a couple cousins, but they were like they didn't hang out with me because they were like the popular kid guys. So they didn't hang out with us. I was like alone and I had not made any friends in high school. And then I got a full-time job working at the Hut. So for those of you that worked at the Hut, hey, high five. I did make some friends out of
Hey,
there.
wait,
Hey,
is it like as in Pizza Hut or is it
as
some
in
other
Pizza.
kind?
No,
Ah,
it's
the Hut.
Pizza Hut, but we
Okay,
called it the Hut.
I get it. Yeah, cool.
And that's where I did make some pretty remarkable friendships. But again, I never shared any of what I was going through with them. Um, yeah, no, I didn't.
So how did you?
I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't.
Okay. So
I
that
didn't.
would be your advice to people until they find their tribe.
Yeah,
Just
just
keep
keep
putting one
putting
foot
one
in.
foot in front of the other.
So Dorothy, I believe that I got you. I'm heard, right? One foot in front of the other. Although I have it that you are incredibly faith-based.
I am now. I was not then.
Okay. So literally like so would you say it was like there was an internal fire burning inside of you like a tenaciousness like I mean, I know you pretty well. You have a real
It must have been because I was pretty tenacious back then. And when I said I was going to do something, I did it. And there was no question asked. I just went through the fire and did it.
you mentioned that in the story. I don't and don't give it away because I love what you said in the story. You like and you remind me of someone else I know that I think incredibly highly of. And their thing is tell me no. Just please, I beg of you. I beg, please tell me I can't do this. Cause it literally like the response for this person is now get the F out of my way because you gave me you gave me the seed I
Yes.
needed to show you that you're all wrong.
We
Like,
have
watch me soar.
we have two sayings in Canada. It's either hold my beer or hold my Tim Hortons and watch me. So yes, there was that, and it's funny because I used to write goals down and they would like come like clockwork. And it's funny because I was thinking of those times recently because I'm thinking, what's different between now and then, other than a lot of freaking baggage that I've had to let go. Um, and I can pinpoint it around the time that I moved back to Tilbury and was in a not so great relationship. And that is when everything I think kind of shifted because I got really tired after that. When you're been mentally and verbally messed around with and played with, and it takes a lot out of you. And I worked 2, 3 jobs my entire life up to that point. So I was tired. I was really tired. And so, yeah, that's when it shifted and, kind of let fear in. Not to say that I don't let, uh, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But back then I had no fear. Now, of course, maybe it's because I'm married and have a house. I just can't run into a burning building anymore. I don't know what it is,
Well, you
but
can.
well, I
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But I'm more cautious.
is that the advice that you would give people then? Is like, just keep a fire in your belly and, realize that you matter and, you
Yeah.
know, just hang in there. And what you would tell them is, hey, I didn't I mean, would you say that you didn't think to find a tribe or that it just like you were trying to find a tribe, but you couldn't find a tribe until, like you said, you were actually ready to receive a tribe?
I didn't even know what a tribe was back then.
Okay. Right. So,
I knew nothing other than survival mode. I was in survival mode and I didn't. So I love my parents and they're great. But my mom always used to say, never ask for help because people are going to want something later on.
Wow.
And
Wow.
probably
That's
at
a
the
tough
time,
story to live inside of. Wow.
probably at the
Yeah.
time that you really didn't have anything to give.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up that way, I never asked for help.
Yeah.
And being the oldest, and a lot of responsibilities in a lot of ways, and having parents that were not always healthy, and having grandparents that were not always healthy, and then losing an uncle to suicide, the shit stacking of life. And then I was not buried under it, but it got heavy. And I never thought to talk to anybody about it, because why would you talk to somebody about your problems?
Right.
That was just not something we did back then. You
Yeah.
never shared what your problems were. You never showed weakness. It's like you sucked it up and you went through. And maybe that's why I get along so well with my military people, because we sucked it up and we just kept going, right? We didn't
Yeah.
realize that we needed help, because we didn't need help. We were our own damn army, and we were going to surrender. We were not going to surrender to the enemy, and we were just going to keep going through it till we got to the other side. There's no problem here. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. No problem here.
Nothing to
Move
see
on.
here.
Nothing to
Just
see
keep moving
here.
along. Keep
Keep
moving
along.
along. Put
That's
one
right.
foot in front of the other. Keep
That's
moving
right.
along.
I
There
don't
it
need
is.
anybody,
Yeah.
because why the hell would I need anybody? Because they're just going to disappoint me anyways, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
what the story was. Now that you got me thinking about it.
Good.
Yeah. So I didn't need anybody.
And let them know. So let's let everybody out there know, if you are being tenacious and or putting one foot in front of the other. And what I heard when you say you didn't need anybody, it the whole, I'm here to, like, because I'm privileged to know you as well as I do. Those that tend to be in service of others, right? We have a propensity to be like, I'm good here. Let's take care of you.
Oh, 100%. It's never been about me. It's always been
Right.
about you.
Right.
And, why would that be any different? I had a grandmother that told me, take care of your man. Whatever you do, you got to make sure you take care of him. You got to make sure that you do everything. Lord help me. But then the oxymoron is, my mother, that's my mom's mom. My mother married the best man on the planet, who did everything for his wife and his children. Not only did he work a full-time job, he cooked and cleaned if I wasn't doing it. And my mother didn't even have to do, my dad took care of everything. My mother had no clue how to do bills. My dad, thank God, when he died, before he died, he wrote her out like a list and what to do with it all, and how to pay what. And seriously, that's so.
Was your mom rebellious against her mom?
No, well, she is now, but back then she wasn't. Well, I guess now, yeah, she must be, because he took care of her.
Yeah. So I mean, that's usually where the extreme, something so extreme.
So why was
shows
I
up.
an idiot then?
Oh, stop.
Oh my God.
That's a topic for another show.
We might need real wine for that.
Dorothy, what do you hope to accomplish by having written this story? What do you want to see out in the world? What would be the thing that would just light you up from the inside out, that happened because you wrote this story and because this book got published?
I would like to make sure that no man or woman, I'll say, because our slogan was no man or woman left behind. That was what our mission was at one point. And then we realized that's kind of heavy, and God did not make us carry everybody. But I know that if we've already helped more than one, but our mission, our goal was always to help one person. If we can make a difference in one person's life, then so be it. And I know that we've already accomplished that goal. But what I would love to see, I would love to see this a healed planet where everybody love themselves. Because if you can love yourself, that means you can love others. And
Oh,
there's a lot of hate in this world. And
mhm,
so let's change that by bringing the love in, and it
mhm.
starts with yourself. Because if you can't love yourself, you can't let anybody else love you. A, and B, you can't love anybody else.
And RuPaul, you gotta, can we get an amen in the RuPaul world? Woo! Right? Like, you were totally quoting RuPaul. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah, and that all lives inside the convert, right? Like you point to, like, there's so much hate out there. If we did a poll of 8 billion people, I would bet you that at least, what would you say? You tell me. At least 80% would use the word hate in some way inside their conversation that they have with their body.
Well,
I hate this, or I hate that, or, like, some component. If you ask them a couple of questions, at some point they're going to use that word hate. And the hate that lives out in the world is right here. There is no out there. There's just here. So
right.
when we're in a conversation with ourselves that we hate even one lash on our body, that hate can't do anything but bleed out into the world. And I loved, I think it was Melody that said, we bleed, our cuts bleed onto other people, bleeds out right out there, right?
Right. Well, I am trying to think, because I thought Jen put it in here, but 6% of the population are
Right,
in love with
right.
their body. 6% of the population love their body. So
So I
that
was
is
right. Yeah.
94% of the population hated or hate their body.
Well,
Let's change that number.
I'm curious, like, even with that though, like I said, hate is it's funny. All the words that I've eliminated from my vocabulary, and hate has never come up in conversation.
Wow.
Isn't that fun? This is what a great show tonight is. But for real, right? Like, taking hate out of our vocabulary, period. We don't get to. Dorothy, are you in? Will you play with me? Let's remove hate.
Oh my God. That means I got to give my word to something else too.
Well,
Oh.
yeah, but here's my word. Love. We remove the word hate and we put in the word love. And yeah, it's going to take something. So, for example, if I say, I hate that my fingers are swollen or inflamed, and I actually shift that to, I love that my fingers are inflamed. Stay with me. What immediately is there is a childlike awe, wonder, and discovery of what has my fingers be inflamed. So now I'm in a conversation with my body that is in a context of love.
Right.
And I've now removed that barrier called hate. So I can actually be in a loving conversation with my body.
Cool.
So I say we take that on, and we invite everybody in the audience to take that on. Wherever you use the word hate, shift it to love and look and see what shows up.
Our chat GPT guru in the house says about half the people hate their body. There we go. Half.
That sounds about right. And to Jen's stats, that Jen's stats could include that someone, the 94% number they've used the word hate in some way, shape, or form about something that they don't like about
Right.
themselves. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like to April's point, yeah, I that seems like a very solid number that half the people in the world actually hate their body, like hate it. So this
Well,
is
here we
fun.
go.
Are you going
The
to take
word
this on with me?
the word hate often arises with pain or fear, has no other outlet. It becomes a shield, a way to express the depth of our wounds without revealing vulnerability. But when we share our pain openly with courage and trust, we release its grip on us. By naming our hurt instead of masking it with anger, we invite healing and understanding. In this space of honesty, hate loses its power and compassion takes its place. The more we speak our truth, the less room there is for hate to thrive. Well, there we go. Isn't that right what we were saying?
Spectacular. Yes, it's perfect. So you're going to take this on with me? I'm in love with taking this on. I am in love. And thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be in this conversation with you tonight. Because that, girlfriend, for reals, that has never been a conversation about the conversation. I'm so excited about this.
So as you were saying that, the thing that was coming to my mind, because I had a doctor's appointment with my ND today, and so I have a love-hate relationship with menopause right now. Mm-hmm. For any woman out there that's going through the pause, hit me up. I want to see
through the pause. Who's going through the pause?
Who's going through the pause? If you're going through the pause, we need to have a show where maybe we'll just bring all these women on. And we'll have a show, because I don't know about you, I've never in my life experienced mood swings as I have lately. Even growing up with my period, I never was moody during those cycles. Never.
It doesn't hurt that you're a Cancer. But Stu, let's I love it. It's a great idea. It's a brilliant idea.
And I don't like menopause. I'm just saying.
I got it. But like, take it on right now. Go ahead and take that on. I love menopause. Just say it. No. And see what if you were in childlike awe, wonder, and curiosity, what would be right there for you?
Well, okay. So this is the only thing that has shifted my identity with that. So I Googled why do we get menopause? And this answer has flipped the script. So it says that it gets rid of old energy. So I'm okay that if I go through a hot flash, like I'm going through the depths of hell, and I'm serious, and the sweat is just pouring off of me, and I want to choke somebody's neck, that is because I'm just getting rid of old energy.
Yeah. Isn't that fun? That's so fun. You know, I was going to ask you, let's see what Melody has to say. Boy, we got it. I love that we have such a engaged audience today. This is awesome.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. Any hate we hold for our body is a view of grapes being greener, because it's a view of what we've seen in others that we wish we had.
There you go. Very good.
Now that sounds juicy. Juicy.
So, Dorothy, one of the questions I was going to ask you, what new words have you brought to your body conversation, and what difference have those new words made for you? Which I assert, in some ways, like having that question on my question list may have brought in this whole hate thing. You have no idea how excited I am to take this and burn it, like say goodbye to it as a word. Doesn't even exist. There is no hate in my world.
So, okay, I'm apologize, but the brain fog is hitting with the menopause. Can you ask that question again?
Absolutely. What new words have you brought to your body conversation, and what difference have those new words made for you?
Well, I'm going to read April's swing in a minute. I'll answer your question because it's squirrel over here. So I definitely have brought love to the conversation. I can definitely look at myself in the mirror without wanting to gag and think, hey, pretty damn good right now. Right. And saying kudos to myself in this body. This body has gotten me through a lot over the last 48 years. So
Amen. Right?
giving love and appreciation for my body, and just kindness, because if anybody had seen my posts within the last week, I shared that I decided to join Muscles in Motion, the gym 2 streets over from me. And so this body is going through a workout and a half. So shout out to Tony over there. Hopefully he doesn't kill me tomorrow night when I go in, because I spent 5 hours cleaning my house on the weekend and my body hurts. So you need to take it a little bit easier again on me again, Tony. So yeah, those are my 3 words.
I love it. Those are awesome. Those are beautiful. Dorothy, are there any questions that I didn't ask tonight that you wished I would?
No, you did an amazing job. Thank you.
Well, okay. Well, you still have space and time just in case.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and let April.
Yes. So
hear it.
menopause is not an end, but a profound transition, a sacred rite of passage into a new phase of wisdom and power. Okay, I'm really liking this. It invites women to release old cycles, reconnect with their inner truth, and embrace their divine creativity beyond the physicals. It is a time of transformation, not loss, where the focus shifts from nurturing others to honor the self. Well, frick, and illumination, the hate. So, well, isn't that funny? Because I'm stepping into a whole new season and really getting my body right. And I'm taking more time for me.
There it is.
Not putting up with the shit that I would have put up with even a couple of years ago.
Girl, you have me so on fire. Our passion for, helping people and, getting people out of the darkness and into the light, and the military and all those that have cared for us and served for us. And like the reality of like, what if we just take hate out of the dictionary? What if we just took that out as an option? It's not even an option. Hate is not an option. And like, it's like, it just has all of it just fall away.
There we go.
Fall away. And all that's left is love, which is what was intended to begin with.
Wow. There we go.
Bam. Okay. Well, with that,
April, thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Right?
Yes.
Very powerful.
I can get on board with my body as a gremlin inside, because it's releasing shit. You have no idea.
Yeah, you can uncollapse that there's a gremlin and that you're a gremlin. You're not a gremlin. There's a gremlin inside.
No, there is a gremlin inside that's got a fucking layer of butane going.
Have you ever seen the movie Hangover?
I don't know, probably.
Oh, I mean, it's a classic. It's it's a recent classic. I don't know, the last 10 years. But anyway, the bunch of guys go to Vegas for.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Right. Like whatever what do they call that?
They were getting a stag or something like that.
Yeah. So right.
Yeah.
And they're meeting what's going to be the guy's future brother-in-law for the first time. And he's gone through this laundry list of things that the friends need to know about him. And it's a Brad Cooper classic line where he goes, "What the hell, is he a gremlin or something?" he comes with instructions. It's like, that's what you just reminded me of just now. So yeah, Dorothy, you need to come with instructions for a while. That's all.
See? I'm telling you.
That's it.
Don't trigger me. Don't provoke me. Don't, like, seriously. Those are.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Don't even look at me.
Bring a fan. Bring a fan, people. I need to be fanned and fed grapes. There we go.
I was just gonna say, Cleopatra, we'll take care of you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
All right, girl. It wouldn't be a show without the fundamentals.
And okay, so I we were prepping for this in the car on my way home from my massage, and joking and being this smartass that I can be, I did say love, love, and love
You
in
did.
honor of the amazing Greg
Great.
Bicknell. Um, and with everything that we said tonight, it would be a perfect ending if I didn't say love, love, and love.
I'm down with
Those
that.
would be my fundamentals. Love yourself, love others. What's the third love?
Love the world.
Love the world. There you go. There we
Exactly
go.
how it is and exactly how it's
That
not.
is no expectations on the how it's not.
Right. That's right. That's right. Well, Dorothy, with the time remaining, what would you like your this is your world, this is your audience. What
They
would
are my
you
audience.
they're
Yes.
your I am fully aware and these are your babies and tonight's your night. Tonight is your night to say anything and everything from your heart that you would want your audience to hear about and from you. And I wanted to take these last precious minutes to give them, and that's the point of the fundamentals, right? Like I love the love, love, and love, and that's awesome, and I love you, right? And your show, you're so wonderful to bring out the best in every guest and give the best to your audience all the time. This is your time right now. What do you want to leave them? If you were going to die in your sleep tonight, what would you want to leave your audience with?
Oh,
That's the fundamentals.
know yourself, be yourself, trust yourself, and don't put up with anybody else's shit.
That's Dorothy.
Love yourself enough to put up the boundaries that you need, number one. And you need to learn the word no, and no without an explanation. Our amazing friend Jeffrey Thompson told us that let your no be your no and your yes be your yes, and you don't have to distinguish and tell people why, and don't feel guilty when you say no. And so that was a lesson I learned last year, and so this year I'm implementing it. And so, yeah, just be true to you. And what historically you've allowed doesn't mean that you have to continue to allow that into your life. If it doesn't feed you, okay, Dr. J, the three F's, but I won't say them tonight. If it doesn't feed you, then really you need to get rid of it. And it's okay. It's okay to get rid of people in your life that no longer serve you, and you don't need to feel guilty about it.
There's something about that just came up, and how the Holy Spirit likes to work on this show. Consider that you don't feed them either,
That's true.
right? Like it like I find it very releasing, right? To be able to get, if someone's not feeding me, that means I'm not feeding them either.
Yeah.
So it's do it for them, release them.
Yep.
And releasing
Absolutely.
yourself, right? Like and set that energy free to go where it actually aligns, where it actually, yeah. We have a thing in Chicagoland, where players tend to thrive in other organizations once they leave Chicago.
Maybe the Bears should leave Chicago. Just
And
saying.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, sometimes you may think you're doing someone a favor by holding on to them, when in reality you're doing them harm.
Right. Absolutely.
For
Sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to put the dig in about the Bears, but they fucked me over last week when I bet on them.
Tell me you didn't bet on them.
I bet on them.
Oh, girl, what were you thinking?
I was thinking this one's for Steve Genovese.
Oh, really?
I did.
Aw.
I did. So I bet on them
He
because
would have told if you'd have told him you were betting for him, he would have been like, bet for the other team. Like, and not because he doesn't love the Bears. He absolutely does. I
I
mean,
know. I
and
know.
oh, it's funny. So we were watching the game, and at one point, like I was very emotional because Tom Brady was announcing, and I was in heaven, right? And so I was just very engaged in the game and getting to hear, Tom's play by play. Oh my God! And then his buddy being in the studio and all that going on, and I could not think of us. And oh, someone eventually turns and says, "Do you have money on this game?" And I'm like, "No." I wouldn't put money on this game unless I bet on both teams, which I've done that before. But anywho,
Well,
enough about
okay.
that.
So my stepson must have thought I was absolutely freaking crazy last night because Sunday is all about football, but one of the games we watched was KC versus the Bills, and I said to them, last year I voted for KC. This year it's 100% Lions, but obviously the Lions were playing that game, so I was just like all over Josh Allen, and I wanted Josh Allen to kick this snot out of Kansas City, and they did. And that was the first time that they've lost this season. And I'm just yelling like, go, 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 get him, get him. Don't let that go through. Get him. So my stepson was just like looking at me like I was completely weird. And but yeah, no, go Bills. Go Josh Allen. Yeah.
Well, and with that, we I can't believe it. The show is over, and I would love to again thank you again for allowing me this incredible privilege tonight, and I want to thank the audience for being so generous in their support and the privilege, and go audience, we love you, right? Like, right, tie that all together, right? And we invite you to join us, and hey, let's create a wave of let's releasing the word hate and
Yes.
replacing it with love.
Let's do that.
With that, Dorothy, I turn it back over to you to finish up the show. And thank you again for letting me host your show tonight and interview you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kimberly. You did an amazing job. And thank you for making me shine. But most important, we want to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you to Tammy, April, Melody, and the rest of you that were too shy to say hi. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for those of you on the replay. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Unstoppable Overcomers. Share with all your fellow overcomers, whether they're overcoming in life, business, or service. We've got you covered in all three. Check us out, subscribe. Sharing is caring, so share it with everybody and be unstoppable in all that you do. See you same time, same channel next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.